Anthony's a consultant for legal counsel, and he's going to be telling you all about that. Before that, over some 12 years, I think, Anthony's been a solicitor at various organisations, including some where I've worked. I think he started off his career at Pendleton, and so did I. I think probably most people know they did, but no longer there, of course. Learned some good things there. And he's also worked at Holding and ETSA, Utilities, Shell, Sydney Airport and BlueScope Steel. And the other thing Anthony's a pretty good performer in is the Fringe. Unfortunately he wasn't in the Fringe this year, but I have been to some of his Fringe shows and thoroughly enjoyed them. So I think Anthony's quite a well-rounded fellow for being a lawyer. It puts a lot of us to shame. But without further ado, introduce Anthony.
Thank you, Julian, and good afternoon, colleagues. Thank you for coming to listen, and thank you to ACLA for having me here. So my name's Anthony. I work as a freelance lawyer. Sometimes I say local lawyer or consult legal counsel or whatever. It depends what I need to say at the gig. I'll talk to you a bit about how I've got here, the mistakes I've made, where I'm planning to go. Here's a bit of a summary of what I want to talk about today. The law, of course, with the law there's the money, or the point otherwise, the money and power. I'll talk a bit about the non-lawyers searching, the depression, the inspiration, my new business and marketing that business, the revenue streams, the resources I use, the benefits and costs from working the way I do, other people I've seen and found around the place doing interesting things, and then the beginning to the end. So the law. Quarter of all lawyers want out. This was a 2007 survey of 2,500 lawyers in the UK, so fairly comprehensive. And it gets worse as you go on. A third of all lawyers who are 6 to 10 years out want out of the law from the same survey. And here in Australia, a survey of 6,000 people found that lawyers, 55% of us are unhappy with our current job. And of all the professions, the lawyers are the unhappiest of the lot. So why do we do it? Anyone? Why? Money! It's for the money, of course. And that's what this UK survey of 2,500 lawyers found. 70% wouldn't leave the law because they'd be afraid of a drop in salary. So they worry about losing their money. But 40% said in this survey that if they followed their dreams, they would become a journalist or a writer. Very romantic. So let's look at the money. The money. 25% of lawyers earn less than 50 grand a year. This is from the ABC Radio Law Report in March 2008. Okay, so, and 50% earn less than 75 grand. So I think, this creates a real disconnect between expectation and reality for a lot of lawyers. It's supposed to be a high-earning profession for a great many of us. It's not. And for those in the same law report said that it's 15% of lawyers who earn more than 115 grand. So if you want 115 plus, you've got to get the top 15% already. Now I'm sure many people in this room have clawed their way up to that level. But it's getting lean. I've gone up the ground with numbers at that level. So let's look at the top though. Looking down, we have money and power. This is an article from the Financial Review showing the top 30 earning in-house counsel in the country. Money and shares and options and all that sort of thing. So this is from November 2008. I understand there have been one since this, and some of the people on this list are now on. I found out over dinner last night, like twice as much. And good luck to them. These are all fine people, of course, and they deserve every penny. But that's 30, and you can't really see it here, but things are downloadable later. You can get the papers, so your boss doesn't see you taking notes. You can get the papers later. Number 30 is the one to look at. Number 30 is on 300 grand a year. So if you want to get 300 plus, you need to be in the top 30 in the country. Okay? And there are 200 companies in the ASX 200, right? And 3,000 members of ACLA. And ACLA's website tells us 14,000 in-house lawyers. So I'm sorry, but for most people in this room, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You could rest. I mean, 115 grand a year for the top 50%. It's good. It's good money, but don't take out too big a mortgage. Well, I'm sure our friend from Star City is laughing at the numbers. No, anyway. But okay, before we all switch the non-lawyers. This is from you might have seen this in the Lawyers Weekly earlier this year. A survey came out that said after the GFC thing, February this year, 73% of employees are actively looking for work. Actively. And 22% are passively looking for work. So 95% of people are looking for work. So they're as miserable as we are. And really, this was a survey done by an HR recruitment place, so they had a thing to push here, but still, I thought it was pretty funny. And the average weekly earnings, ABS tells us about 1,200 a year. So it's, which is well, yeah, we're doing better than 25% of lawyers. That's the thing. And just to extinguish any hope, the writers. Median income rises from writing 4,800 per year. Australia Council told us that. Now, look, I found myself placing these facts in it's late 2008. I think back 2003. Sorry, I've been practicing about 6 years. I've been at Finlayson's and Faulding, went to London, worked for Shell, came back here. So the CV was looking fairly good. Returning home, needed work, but I wanted to be a writer. I thought that would be a good thing to do, but I wanted to earn more than $4,800 a year. And so I thought, I'll work part-time. I'll get a part-time job and I can make lawyer money and I can write on the side. And I sent out this spray of letters to every outfit in Adelaide, and the RE was part-time legal work. And it wasn't a very successful campaign, but it gave me some good material for writing. And I talked about this in my 2004 Fringe show.
And I got a lot of rejection letters last year. And I brought them in to show you. This is the rather substantial bundle of rejection letters. And I've taken these very unoriginal pieces of correspondence, you know what they're like, you've all got them before, and I've decided to be creative and then make them, more than the sum of their parts. And I've created a new poem called Rejection Letters, borrowing an extract from each. And I'll read to you. Dear Anthony, Mr. Ura, we prefer to accept acknowledged receipt of your letter, expressing your interest in employment with this firm. Thank you, Mr. Ura, for your application, your resume, your curriculum vitae, forwarded to us with respect to the above. For your interest, Mr. Yuha, in our firm, small business, in this organisation, please accept our sincere appreciation. Unfortunately, we are sorry, I regret, I am afraid, we have no positions available. No positions, Mr. Ura, at this stage, at the present time, and it is most unlikely that a position will become available for you in the future. Just letting you know. However, Mr. Ura, for a period of 6 months or 1 year, for future reference, we will keep your details on file. Good luck, Mr. Ura. We wish you well, success, all the best in the future. Mate, you don't want to be a lawyer, follow your dreams. For their help in compiling that poem, I'd like to thank the law firms at Jervis Thomas, Rather Taylor, Winters, SRG, Allen, Bashir, Adam, Master, Berger, Clarkson, Lawyers, and Services.
Where were you guys when I was doing the show? I was dying out there for most of it. No, this is the one good show we caught on film, which was good. But it ended in tears. The show, the work, everything. I did get work eventually, but it didn't arrest my decline. And this stuff gets a lot of press. We know all this, but I'll run through quickly. The depression. Beyond Blue survey of 2007, lawyers at the highest level of depressive symptoms were #1, followed by patent attorneys. I thought that was funny too. Go figure. The same survey said a third of lawyers report using alcohol or other drugs, which sounds so bad, but it's to reduce feelings of sadness and depression. And the job I had, in some senses, was very good because it was on a cut. The employer wasn't prepared to take any risks with me, and so I took home a third of what I would bill and bring it into the firm. Very old school, very old style. This was good because it gave me an entrepreneurial kind of outlook in the work. You know, I got my billings done and out and all that sort of stuff. It was part-time, so it gave me time to write. And because I was depressed, it gave me time to lie in bed until midday every day until I could drag myself into the office. And so perhaps that wasn't the best thing for someone who was feeling a bit depressed. And if you indulge me, I talked about that a little bit in my 2006 Fringe show. I felt my dreams were starting to shatter. Started growing. As is the fashion these days. Jeff Gallup, John Brogdon, Jeff Kennett and I. Mike Rand, Ian Cole, I tried to cure my depression. I started watching TV. The weakest link. Average Joe. The biggest loser. They all seem to be about me. Short trainer. I tried climb A, B, C, D, E, and G. Sometimes what can you want? Sometimes what can you want? You know, I keep going below, but sometimes I do fall over. I had dinner with my parents to see what they thought. My dad said to me, "You gotta calm down, son. Full on." My mother said to me, "Stop using me in the show." Martin should have thought that. She's scared to lose me. My mother did say to me, the important thing in life is having a cause to believe in and someone to love. So I sponsored a child. He died. There's always someone doing a tough one, I guess. That's the moral of that story. So, look, this marked a turning point, this show. For the first time in my life, I got a good review. A bit of a backhander, but it was a good review. Method is madness, or is it the other way around? It was a darn sight better than the review I got from my 2004 show. It's true, that really hurt. I still hurt, actually. So I was able to move past this, and I found this, right? I started looking around online for a way to work. And I found this book called Practicing Law Without Clients, which I thought sounded really appealing. I rang the Law Society here, and they got it in the library and they laughed. They said, yeah, it's a great idea, but you know, it's not going to happen. I ordered one off Amazon, got it delivered. Now, what this book talked about was being a wholesale lawyer for retail lawyers. Let other lawyers face the client and support them from the back. You know? And it had a firm focus, but it was very relevant. It talked about being a freelance associate. So much as employees work in the background, or partner who faces the client, do the same thing, but do it on a contract basis. Talked about being a ghostwriter, so you've been doing that, working in the background, writing for someone else. And I like that, writing, ghosts. Specialise. It said you can carve out a niche if you know, a general practitioner needs something, you know, some specialist employment law or you're an employment gun, and they'll come to you for this sort of specialist angle from time to time. So if you go and get a specialty, that can really help. And I took this on board and tried to implement that, and went for specialist accreditation in the New South Wales Law Society. And the thing I will see, I'm a generalist lawyer, a general commercial lawyer, and I have one for business law, and I did that. I think they have one now in South Australia as well. So I did that course and failed. Or did the course, the test and failed. The reason I failed was because it's very firm focused sort of thing. It's for small mum and dad businesses. You're up to trust deeds, you 7A laws, you know, this sort of stuff that you don't do as an in-house lawyer. That's my excuse. I would have liked to have had a logo on my website or that, but I don't think it really matters in the in-house sector terribly much, or any sector really. It's about your networks and things like that. As I say, this is very much a firm-to-firm focus. But the key thing that I took away from this is that your clients are other lawyers. And I think in the in-house sector, this makes all the more sense. ADS surveys, you know, show that the big legal spend is in commercial law, property law. And who's spending that dollars? Who's controlling that spend? It's the in-house lawyers. I mean, it's a wonderful shift going on that you guys, you know, you're the gatekeepers and the controllers of most of the legal spend now. And so, as an in-house lawyer who had contacts in the in-house sector, you know, I had an opportunity to get into that spend. This guy, I thought this was a funny quote. I mean, it's a US book, and he's written, now you make this change. Every lawyer is your friend and your potential customer, someone you can help, instead of, you know, someone haranguing you on the other side and hassling you. And I think it's a very US perspective on law where, well, in the US, 1 in 200 people are a lawyer in the US population. And they're all fighting with each other all the time. So anyway, but it's appealing, and it does change the way you interact with other lawyers when you view them as a potential meal ticket. I mean, as a potential, you know, as a potential client. So this is what happened. I started the new business, and the reason I'm putting this up is to show you the barriers to entry aren't high in the law. And I read that in an IBIS World survey, you know, medium level barriers there. I was a bit offended. I was like, I have to go through law school, but they're not that high. So this was my business. It consisted of this card, and behind it is quite a few things. Firstly, sole practitioner, sole trader, so really no startup complexity or costs. You don't need to incorporate. There's no benefits in incorporating from a tax perspective until you're earning about 80 grand a year plus, and you're probably not going to do that in the first year. So sole practitioner, sole trader. My address is GPO box, my big city address. You know, I actually don't see much value in getting a serviced office or an office address in Sydney, that sort of thing. People are used to the idea of people working from home, but I do think it looks a bit shabby to be PO box so-and-so in Adelaide or something. And plus, if you move around, you have to move your GPO box around. So that's now my permanent GPO box. I have my mail redirected from that to my home from Australia Post for about $60 a year. Mobile phone, I put a mobile phone on the card. I never give out a landline. I try to not make myself contactable on landlines at all. The idea being I'm mobile. You can get me anywhere. It doesn't matter where I am, where you are. It doesn't matter where I'm working. The workflow is my mobile. And people, you know, the operational people we work with, they'll work off mobiles now. It's very common, so that's fine as well. Of course, it's my mobile. This is the other thing I take from this. If you are working with a work mobile, you know, you're going to lose that when you change jobs. It's part of your brand. It's really your mobile phone number. If you want to keep your contacts, you need to control and own your mobile phone number. That's a hard thing to implement now if you're already dug into the next job change. Fax number. I don't have a fax machine. The fax goes to my email. It sends me a digital PDF of it. It was hard to find this, like sort of 5 years ago. I had a company, J2. It cost me $20 a month. I'm paying too much for it now. You can get like $10 a month, but I'm stuck with the number. So I'd say if you're going to do this, get your own number, port it in. A bit more hassle, but then you can take the number away with you later when these services become virtually free. Email address, obviously, you've got to have one. I think it looks shabby when people are so-and-so at bigpond.com. And there are some problems with those ISPs. BigPond and Optus, the big ISPs, have blocking things and stuff like that. So get your own domain name, costs like $12. And it's fairly easy to hook up an email. You don't have to do it yourself, pay someone, it costs you next to nothing. Website has proved to be very important. Website cost me nothing. I got free, I traded some legal advice for the building of the website. drafted some standard T's and C's for him, which didn't apply to me, but his subsequent customers. It's really just an extension of the business card. It lets people look you up online, check you out a bit. It's just a brochure. It doesn't have to do anything. Even if it's one page, I think it's good to be up there, and it's proved very useful for me as well. So all this so far costs next to nothing. Insurance, of course, is the big one. When you're practicing and making money, insurance will suck up about 10% of your take. But, you know, it is we can make reasonable money, so it's a risky job, so it makes sense. But when you're starting out, you can get low fee earner insurance, and you can say, I estimate this year I'm going to make whatever, nothing, 10 grand, 20 grand, doesn't it? And the lowest increment costs you about $200 a year to get your insurance. Maybe a bit more now, but you can enter the market and get your insurance for next to nothing. Okay? And then a business plan, which was basically a list of every lawyer I knew. So the barriers to entry, the barriers to entry are here really. They're not this stuff. You can knock this stuff up pretty easily. And this card, this strategy is certainly well. So the revenue streams, I knocked on every lawyer's door I knew and met with people, and some people just didn't get it, and they're like, well, why, these are my clients and my work and my money, why would I share with you? But it took some doing, but eventually it started coming. For me, I pushed the local angle quite a bit. The reality is, my work in the UK for Shell was effectively a local contract, so maternity leave cover. I was sort of doing this already, but I formalised it, and I'm doing it as a contractor. I don't want a job at the end of this. I come in and go, and that sort of thing. So the first local contract I got in this guise was 8 weeks covering someone who was going on holidays into a company. It turned into a series of local contracts, maternity cover, all sorts of things. Like I worked for this company for like 5 years. It's only recently stopped when they've hit the skids and they really can't afford me, let alone their employee lawyers who they're laying off left, right, centre. So, but local contracts is a various, and maternity leave cover is a great one, holiday cover is a little bit. You're going to get this from people you know. The good thing that leads to then is once you've done someone's job for a while and they come back and want the job, you're entrenched in a number of files now, and it makes sense for you to finish off that work. And while the local contracts, well, you're competing with secondees and other employees, and so you're going to get a daily rate basically. And whether it's high or low is going to depend on the circumstances, all sorts of things, like any negotiation. But as an external lawyer now, you can flick it over to an hourly rate. You say, I finish this stuff off, this is the hourly rate, and you become now like a true external lawyer for the in-house sector. Then I've become also a legal consultant, I think is the term, and this is what I do with Adelaide Brighton. The character of this is part-time. I look after their stuff on the East Coast, give them a bit of presence there. The part-time point is important because as soon as you become an employee, of course you're gone, they own you. You can become a part-time employee, more particularly as soon as you're full-time. Well, sometimes the jobs are more than full-time, so it doesn't give you opportunity to develop the rest of your business and spread it around elsewhere. So working as a part-time legal consultant is good, gives you some consistency of income, that sort of thing, allows you to do the other stuff as well. Local contracts in the community sector. This took me by surprise, but I've successfully gone in and out of the community sector, come out unscathed and still got my wits about me and that sort of thing. What surprised me was that I could get into it. The bottom line, if you're a good general in-house lawyer, where you basically sit there and people think you know everything, and they'll come in with any sort of problem and expect you to solve it. It's the same thing in the community sector. And they'll have you. If you're prepared to go in there and work for next to nothing, they'll have you. And it's good to do. And the other thing that surprised me is you can come out of that. And I've sat in commercial interviews and straight after working for Redfern Legal Centre for a year, and they kind of liked it. They sort of, I think, wish they'd done it themselves and respected it, and it didn't hurt. It hasn't hurt me at all. If anything, it's given me more credit. And assuage the guilt a little bit, I suppose. So then direct clients, friends and family and friends of friends, things like this. Once you're out there for a while, I'm a lawyer, I've got a law firm, people will eventually get that. It takes a few years, you might starve to death in the meantime, but eventually they get it, and they'll start coming to you with stuff and referring people to you. This is not the ideal revenue stream for me. These people aren't lawyers. You know what my cover friends, it's hard, they want free, or something. But there's a potential stream there. Drafting for small firms. This came out of my website. Someone rang me up in a flat, guy who has a small firm saying, look, I need some help. I need this stuff drafted in 48 hours. Can you do it? Can you help me? And so you basically, this is the freelance associate thing. You're drafting in the background, you're being a ghostwriter. I've got a few associations with some other firms, small sole practitioners, bits and pieces, people like me. You start building a network of these people. The money on this one is trickier because, as you know, I'm senior as they are, so I want to suck up 80-90% of the dollars on this. And so it's really only in times of desperation I come to you and accept that, but that's for their client relations. But see, I keep it doing, I'm trying to keep that stuff live because if I lose the legal consultant thing, look, the general GFC, you know, I was cut back. I knew that if it went worse, I'm expensive and easy to cut, so it's good to keep this stuff alive. So then you can go back and say, well, actually now I'm prepared to do it for 30%, 40%, you know, anything. What do you got? You know. But it's there, and it's nice to spread the risk, keeps your contacts. You can flow it back the other way if you get too much work. Direct clients, small businesses. Now I'm out there giving out my card, doing stuff. So I've got some, you know, real clients. But my website talks to in-house lawyers. It doesn't talk to them. But if someone is a small business and they're prepared to come to me, sure, why not? Micro local contracts, for lack of a better terminology, is again through seriously someone searching for a local lawyer. If you go to Google and search local lawyer, you'll find me. There's nothing going on in that sector. Okay, so through that, I had this software company ringing up. Look, we're getting hounded. I'm the sole lawyer here. Can you come in and do 5 days work and clear the backlog? And because it's a micro contract and you can charge a healthy daily rate for that, you're in and you're out, no pain, no client facing, just quiet drafting. Although the rate was good, I probably, I did a lot of extra work at home to make it good, keep the relationship. She changed jobs and I've lost track of her now, but if it's lucrative, the smaller the contract, the more you can charge. Local contracts for small firms. I've had some leads with this and I've got one on the go now, and I think they're likely to take me on. I'm trying to stoke it up a bit. I'm quite keen to do it because to keep my hand in that sector. But people go on holidays, they need someone to cover them. When in-house lawyer is not the logical choice because I don't do conveyancing and things like that from day to day. But we know how to wing it. We know how to cover things and look, sensible when people ask us crazy questions. So we can keep the seat warm, keep their clients happy, not scare them off. You've got a good network, you can work stuff out. So I'm looking at local contracts for small firms as well. Referral commissions, I haven't really cracked it. Well, I haven't got any money from this yet, but it's come up a couple of times where I've had a lead for a local contract. Someone says, can you come and do this work? Can't, because I've already got stuff going on. But they're hungry, looking desperately for someone. So you help them with that recruitment function and say, well, I can't, but I've got someone else here. And that circumstance would be quite reasonable. Take a clip, 5%, 10%, given the recruitment agent will take 30%, 40%, 20, 30, 40. You've got disclosure issues, you've got to tell the client, it's got to be transparent, things like that. But it's there. I can see that one coming. And seriously, when people are desperate, and for a locum, they usually are desperate. People leave things last minute. They'll take that. And now, here we go, writing. I'm actually getting paid to write. And it's a bit ironic because I've sort of re-embraced my legal career and happy identifying as a lawyer again. And I've sort of gone, well, I'm going to write this for all it's worth. And use that as my hook in my creative stuff. And it's good promo. And so I have a regular article now in the Law Society Journal, published once a month. It's a comedy article. It's a regular deadline, and it's actually paid. But so equally, you could have teaching, I would say here. You could teach as a revenue stream. And you can do it. You can write. You guys can write and teach and do this stuff. But when you're a freelancer and you're working part-time up and down, it makes it sort of easier to think this way and do these things, I think. And now this is the future for me. This is where I'm going, or trying to go, as I'll look really today. Well, no, I've been working on this for some time, but it's just coming online now, which is the drafting precedents. There's a company called Smokeball. I don't know, you might have stumbled across them. They haven't really promoted a lot here. They've been taking out a lot of press, like full-page colour ads in Sydney and stuff. And it's a website for people to buy and sell precedents, right? It's for lawyers to draft precedents, upload them, sell their IP. Other lawyers come and buy them. The author, I was amazed, genuine business. seem to me very genuine people. You keep your IP, you give them a license, you take 50%. So I've drafted a suite of precedents now for in-house lawyers, which is going up there. So I'm hoping we'll rush out and buy it tomorrow. Because look, someone very well said, you lawyers, you know, it's a, you know, you think you know about money stuff, but if you really want to make money, you've got to find something that can make you money while you sleep. Now, how do we do it? Well, you build a law firm, you have all these underlings, and you know, you whip them and make money off them. I mean, that's one way. You know, you can plan your way up the top 30 if you want, or you can be quite comfortable on a couple $100,000 a year, just don't overspend. I'm hoping, you know, I'm hoping this will go well. If it doesn't, like, Mark as the General Counsel Adelaide said, well, at least you'll have a good collection of precedents for yourself, and it's true. It's not too bad. So that's my latest revenue stream. The marketing, this is my article that gets published now. I go where lawyers go, I talk to lawyers. This was the Golden Gavel. I'm still a young lawyer in Sydney. This was my entry.
Our next speaker for this morning is Anthony Yuha, a locum lawyer, and he's going to be talking about work choices for lawyers, more hours, same money, or more hours and same money.
And you don't pick the topic, they give it to you randomly 24 hours ahead, and they go, I got that. So I was like, cool, use this. Work choices. I've made a few. What happened there? Well, look, you know, you're going to have to see the intro.
Our next speaker for this morning is Anthony Yuha,
I love being introduced.
a locum lawyer, and he's going to be talking about work choices for lawyers, more hours, same money, or more hours and same money.
Work choices. I've made a few. I've been in big firms and small firms. I've worked in-house and for community legal centres. I've even hung my own shingle. All this experience, and they still call me a young lawyer. Bless them. A young, once again, soon-to-be, I suspect, unemployed lawyer. It's enough to give a young lawyer grey hairs. Only the medical profession itself had to work in this way. I mean, look at me. They botched it. My nose is all wrong. My boobs look lopsided. Even Justice Young said so. And I still don't feel like a woman. Yet I still have to pay. Mother always wanted me to become a doctor or nurse. But I became a lawyer, and for we young lawyers, the work choices are stark. Big firms, big work, big billing targets, and under the grim pyramid scheme that is the modern law firm, these days, a young lawyer won't even take home a third. Even a pimp provides a better cut than a partner. Mother always said it was so. I tell you, my friends, we are in the wrong business of solicitation. And heaven forbid one might be a working mother with children. Oh, to be a mother. A mother with children who may prefer working part-time. Or perhaps a lawyer, any lawyer, who may wish to reclaim a little life balance. A quick search on Seek overnight shows 787 professional full-time legal jobs. And only four jobs working part-time. And all of them in conveyancing. But the work choices for lawyers continue to change for the worse. More work, same money, while all the partners take home a pat. And that's why I opted out. And I work as a locum lawyer now. Mum likes it. She tells her friends that I'm a locum. An after-hours GP. Most of my fellow lawyers think the same thing. Work choices. Some work,
all I ask. I'm Anthony Yuha, a young lawyer for hire. Don't be afraid to give me a call. So I stumbled on a shameless pitch at the end, but it was there, it was there. And I got a lead out of this, like afterwards I was on the street still giggling at my own jokes. And the guy comes up, give you a card, blah, blah, and the company, I was able to talk to them. I didn't have capacity to help them, but had I needed the work, there was some there. It was, look, I can talk about this now. It often you are the bottom of the heap though. It is the work the lawyer who's in-house doesn't want to do. You're not going to do the alliance, the Battlestar Galactica or whatever. It's not going to happen. You're going to get the. I won't be invited back. You're going to, and look, but I kind of like that because sometimes you get the weird matter that no one wants to touch. It's too hard. It's outside the frame. This doesn't happen, of course, where I work with Julie. Julie knows the hard stuff. But it gets passed around. You can't pass it on. You're the lowest, even if you're senior, you're the lowest. But I kind of like that because you get curveball a bit. But at the same time, I draft a lot. I do a lot of drafting, but I don't mind it that much. I kind of like that. It's writing. It's like one of the best paid writing gigs you'll ever get. Resources. So you do need to sort of set yourself up a little bit more than just a business card. With some training, one of the early questions I was asked also, how are you going to keep your skills up, things like that. At university, I enrolled in Masters of Dispute Resolution. The degree itself, like anything, it's the people you meet, it's the experience, the discipline of doing it, it's the training and so forth. It's been very good. ACLA and Law Society, obviously, ACLA, fantastic, and you get good value training and networking, things like that. Same for you guys. Now, this is a hot tip which I have to express delicately. Large law firms. Now, when you're an in-house lawyer, and even if you're an local in-house lawyer, they'll invite you to their training and so forth, and you'll get on their invitation list. Make sure those invitations go to your personal email address and not the work one, so that when you leave the organisation, you're still getting these invitations to all this fabulous training. It might be harder to pull this off here in Adelaide, but in Sydney, you can get away with it. Look, I've shown up to things and they're like, what are you doing here? And they're like, when you invited me, it's a great show. I don't have coffee and steal their clients. But look, I've been caught in doing this, but welcome, because by now I've moved on to another in-house job and it's just as relevant for them to invite me, and I brief the work out in these local roles. I brief these large firms. Yes, I compete with them, but they're also people I'm asked for recommendations. Who should we use? And I think, well, who's been good to me? Similarly, university and law society, like if you roll in university, you get access to these fantastic databases that you could never afford otherwise. Now, some of them, including LexisNexis, have very strict terms about that you must use it only for your educational or academic, but some of them don't. And it's a magnificent resource. And just to have a library, you go into and use, it's another space. So it's worth enrolling in university for that, frankly. And the alumni things, even if you don't want to re-enroll, you can get access to libraries as alumni. Resources, now the rest of my team, if you like, I make it up as I go. You've got to be careful with this. Good big clients, you can't sort of, just take, thank you for the work and outsource it all. Into, you do have to do the work yourself, and you want to be careful about where you subcontract, because I think people expect that you're doing the work sometimes. But you can, get grads and contractors to help you with certain things. I'm doing another presentation soon, and much like you would in a large, it's more technical, legal thing. And I've got someone to help me research it. And contractors like that, they're grateful, they appreciate the work, they're flexible, they're not there burning your income all the time. And it's deferred payment. It's usually, I'll pay you when the client pays me, so it's not a very risky proposition. There's a lot of talented people. I pull some out of the community sector, people who want to get into the commercial sector and appreciate the lead. They work for nothing, some of these guys. Not that, I pay them, but I know other people who pay who do take more advantage of that. Virtual typists, virtual assistants, just quickly on systems. You can't rely on the firm or the place you're working at to have good systems. Some places do, some places don't. I have notepads that I use. Everything do in my life is written down in these particular notepads. They're chopped up and scanned. The original notes go onto the file for the client. I keep a scan of everything basically I do so that I'm covered. Just to, that's to cover myself liability-wise. Also means everything, all my file notes are available online all the time. Now that's the kind of back end that a large firm would set up. But you might think it's terribly expensive, but honestly, it's not. That whole thing might cost me $40 a month. It's not very expensive. And it's the labour of getting someone to do it. But again, I use a friend for this. She's very talented young woman. She had a baby, needs to work from home. I'm grateful for the work. There's a bit more stuff online now than when I started. In the US, there's a National Association of Freelance Legal Professionals, big title. They had these online telecoffees, and I would join in, but it's like 3:30 in the morning on Wednesday or something. But there's a bit of stuff going on like this in the US. There's a bit of stuff out there. I must admit, I've thought, do I set up something like this here? But then you got to look at, well, what do I really, want to run that sort of thing? Is that what I want to do? I'm not sure. The benefits and costs of working this way. Well, risk reward. Obviously, you're taking a greater risk. People expect that you need to charge a bit more. You're not getting sick leave. You get income protection insurance. They're not paying the benefits, so that you can make decent money out of this. And then there's a tax benefits. You can tax deduct pretty much anything you do. And with those tax benefits, you can start pushing your effective income up. Benefits that employees don't have the benefit of. Your risks are spread. And this is, this really came to fore in the last 12 months with my colleagues in this other company getting made redundant. And all their eggs were in this one basket. They're an employee, they're laid off, that's it. On the scrap heap, desperate. For me, and I've lost contracts in a hurry. I was doing a maternity leave contract, and the woman, she lost the baby, wanted to come back to work. Of course, I'm out. It's very sad, okay, but I lost it quickly. But I had some other stuff going on, so I could do that. And I know one of these guys who was laid off, who had his shingle hung, was doing a little bit on the weekend, and he was able to bring it up that day. So I think that's quite a big one. Self-determination, there's a sense of it. It's funny though, because in a way you're more responsive. People ring up, oh yes, I can do it, something. But you have this psychological trick. And for me, it works. I worked in. There's no way I would hold down a job for 5 years, but I could do a series of local contracts in 5 years. It's that sense of self-determination. For me, less lurching. Every time I would leave and quit a job, it's a crisis. I left, exited. When you're in a contract, it's not loaded with all that baggage. Less office politics. You're one step removed from the office, which is nice. You sort of go in, do your work, come out again. You can control your own resources. If you want to buy an Apple, if you want to buy an iPhone, you can buy it and use it. You don't have to. It's one of those little things in organisations that annoys you, though. I'm more engaged with the law. I don't mind being a lawyer now. I'm more interested in other things. When you work for yourself and you go to a wedding, you're interested in talking to everyone. And I've really noticed that people in secure, colleague friends of mine are in the secure, cozy job. They're tired. I'm sick of it now. I'm like, well, I haven't, talked to this. Made a reconnection here. Now, the downside risk. Obviously, it's riskier. It is riskier, and you're easy to put on the scrap heap. You're still expensive. You've got to swim from tree to tree, and it's not for everyone. Disconnection from the workplace, from other people, especially if you work at home a lot. You can just lose touch. You might be out of bed, but you're not interacting in any real way. I can sense this sometimes. It's good. You got to get out. Disrespect is a real thing, and this is a strange thing, but I know people who are senior lawyers who look at the way I work, and if I was doing it as an employee, and same job, same thing, same work, whatever, they would respect it. But because you're a contractor, no, it's not valid, it's stupid, you're not being serious. It's weird, but that will happen. There will be segments of the legal sector who won't respect you. There's tricky politics. Now, as an external lawyer, if someone comes to you and wants to do something stupid, fine, take their money, do draft, it's as a full external, you're less involved in decision making. As an in-house lawyer, it's part of the big value that you bring is you're involved and you help the decision making and so forth. You can be a bit tougher and steer into tougher territory. When you're a contractor as an in-house lawyer, you're somewhere wedged in the middle because you've got all these stakeholders who can cut you off, some of them who are paying your bills and things like that. They don't want to hear no. And it's a bit more loaded when they can just get rid of you like that. I think you have to be a lot more diplomatic. You have to be, it's fine, I can manage it, but it does take some emotional energy in keeping all these stakeholders happy. Family and friends, you've got your shingle hung, they know you've got insurance, they expect free legal advice. Look, I haven't worked this one out yet. I'm thinking of cutting off. Holidays, look, most people who work for themselves won't take long, luxurious holidays because you worry about your relationships and flow and everything. So I take more short holidays now. It's different, it's okay. Maybe I won't want to do it this way forever. And I'm not saying I've got it all worked out by any means. This is an after the event analysis. I'm making it up as I go, but these are the things I've learned. But look, I would like to wander around India for 6 months again. Like I did something that would be great. Working harder, I would work harder. I would work on weekends more. Whereas as an in-house lawyer, I didn't. It comes with territory. If you want to keep that work, you got to work harder. Otherwise, it's a job, especially if you put your mobile phone on the business card. It comes with territory. And there's a ceiling, probably realistically. I have had limited experience managing other people. I don't have a team of lawyers under me that I'm looking after and so forth. So that's one of the major holes in my own personal skills development, and that's going to create a ceiling that's going to keep me out of the top 30 or whatever. Having said that, given the bio revenue streams, you can make a decision to reposition your energies into one direction or another, and assert that choice. And if I wanted to break that ceiling, I'm starting from behind, perhaps where I should be. You could say the same thing if someone who's studied late in life or whatever, but it's something to think about. The beginning is, so if you're interested in this idea, it's going to be very difficult to hook it up based with your current employer. It's very hard to change that existing relationship you've got there. A local contract is a good way to start. You've got to resist the offer of employment that can come afterwards and say, no, I'm a contractor, I do local contracts. It could take you a while to get your first one, but you could jump straight out of employment into local. Go part-time, so you can do other things and hang a shingle. When you get your next job, hang a shingle beforehand, give you low fee and insurance, just put it in place and just play with it a bit on the side. It's not. Now, that might be weird, but like most things, if you bring it to the start of the job, look, these are my terms, I need a holiday, whatever, you can get it. So take control of your contacts, your email and your mobile phone stuff. When you send people emails and networking, don't use the work email address, because one day you're going to leave the workplace and you will lose people. So use your personal email address. You don't have to set up a, Joe and so legal, but just your Yahoo, whatever. Keep control of your contacts, because that's your business. Is obviously those relationships. Keep a list of every lawyer you know, that you meet. I know people who've got work off other sides of transactions and things like that. I must admit, I'm weirdly doing that, but it's a good idea. And a business plan. I wrote a business plan when I went in, like most business plans, you look at it and laugh later, but it's a good discipline. So that's it. This is questions? I'm quite happy to email me and talk about this stuff in another environment, because more people I know what helps me, and look, it's been fun. I'm happy to talk about it. So thank you.
Thanks for that, Anthony. One thing that I wanted to ask you about was whether social media helps, such as LinkedIn, because that's a good way of sort of getting in contact with people.
I think
1 minute.
I think it's worth doing. The problem with Twitter is she's marking on these things. LinkedIn so far, the only lead that's gotten me was from a recruitment agent, and I find them of limited value because they want their big cut, and it was very rude and so forth. I think it's worth doing, but I wouldn't invest a lot of energy in it. I found building my own website to be good. So maybe as it matures more, I guess, but so far it hasn't given me much money.
Great. Well, we're going to have a 5-minute break after this, just to change over from Apple back to the PC world. So if we could just thank Anthony in the usual way.